service. What's up, podcast listeners? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Full Service Podcast. I am your host, Tank Smith. We are back. Welcome. Hey, it's week 11. We made it. Week 11. Who knew? Who knew that we'd make it just 11 weeks ago? But no, thanks for being here. Shout out to last week's guest, Kennedy Stevens. If you have not listened to that episode yet, first off, stop right now. This is not going to be as good as last week's episode. No, go check it out. Give it a listen. I had a lot of fun. If you have not yet, give Kennedy a follow on the old Twitter. Her Twitter is the K Stevens. The K Stevens, Stephens, multiple Stevens, the K Stevens. Give her a follow. Also, her website, there's a link to her website on our Libsyn page. So if you go to our website, go to last week's episode, you can click and get a link to all her stuff. So go check out her. Go check her out. But yeah, if you have enjoyed the podcast so far, if you're like Tank, I fucking love the goddamn Full Service Podcast. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Full Service Pod. Much more active on Twitter than Instagram, but hey, I'm going to be posting on Instagram. Just you wait. I think I have like 11 posts. There's going to be way more to come. 5,000 episodes, they're going to be that's a long time. But no, give us a follow. Write into the podcast. Let me know what you think. Our email address is fullservicepod@gmail.com. So write in, let us know how you're feeling, let us know who you are, what you do, what you think. Yeah, do that. We're going to try to get some fan engagement. I want to share everyone's stuff on the podcast. So write in, let me know how you're feeling, and I'll share it on the podcast. Yeah. This is, like I said earlier, this is week 11, brand new week. It's a solo. It's just me and you, all everybody else. It's also in traffic. It's all of us. But no, thanks for being here. If you've been rocking with us since the beginning, I fucking appreciate it. If this is your first week, if you're just like, let me try something new. Let me listen to this podcast. Let me stop you. Listen to another episode. This is your first time listening. Hey, welcome. I appreciate you being here. But definitely check out another episode. I'm not trying to deter you. Listen to this episode also, but actually also after you've listened to another episode. I feel like it'd make everything make more sense, you know? My last solo update, it was 33 states and 10 countries. We've been played in 33 states and 10 countries so far at that point. Now 37 states, baby. 37. We Kentucky, Indiana, Colorado, and New Hampshire joined the Full Service family. So welcome. If you're in Kentucky, Indiana, Colorado, or New Hampshire, fucking what's up? Keep listening. Tell your friends about it. Tell everybody you know. You go to the emergency room. Tell your nurse. Tell the person that checks you out. Tell the anesthesia. Tell everybody you come in contact with. Really, that's the way we spread the word. This is There's not going to be advertising. This is a word of mouth podcast. Where them truckers at? We need to get them truckers. I know y'all listen to Sirius XM radio, but listen to the podcast also. Last time, like we're in 10 countries. Now we're in 14 countries. Let's welcome Turkey, Israel, Russia, and Kuwait. What's up? Hey, welcome. Now that now we got some listeners in Russia, I have to say that there was no collusion. There was no collusion, no interference in the election. Go Russia. I am now Team Russia. Welcome. Keep coming back. We got a podcast, and it's every Tuesday. Now that if you're listening, I guess you already know that it's on Tuesday, because, hey, it's Tuesday. It says it on the podcast. I don't really know how this works. But no. Welcome. I'm happy you're here. I am I'm the ultimate procrastinator. I will say that. I am recording this on Monday night. It's currently 8:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I try I try to record these on Sunday or Saturday, but usually it comes down like last night. I this is like the third time I've recorded this episode. Last I'll start talking and then I'm like, fuck this shit. This sucks. Like 20 minutes in, which is never a good feeling. Like last week on Kennedy's episode, I think I recorded the intro a good like 20 times before I was like, this is acceptable. So yeah, last night I recorded a couple times, and then I was like, it's like 1:30. I'm like, my voice sounds all fucked up. Let's go to sleep. Let's record this on Monday. See what happens. Now we made it all the way. Now it's 8 o'clock. I got like a couple hours before this will be up on our Libsyn page and whatever platforms you're listening to us on. We're on a bunch, baby. Hell yeah. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. We're every fucking where. So no, thanks. Thanks for being here. Like I said, I'm a procrastinator. I was doing everything in my power not to record this episode. Uh, I like cleaned my whole room yesterday. I washed all my clothes. I washed my sheets. I smoked a bunch of weed, all in hopes that I would not have to record an episode. And yet here we are. I'm recording. But no, I'm glad it's Tuesday. It's actually Monday, but I'm glad that it's Tuesday wherever you're at. Like I said, this is week 11. I started a new job. I mentioned it in the last solo. I started a new job. Shout out to everybody out there who has an incredibly boring job. My job, so boring. It's oh my god. I work at like a tech company, and it's like cool. They got like a ping pong table, and they don't pay you very much. They got lots of snacks. That's what we get paid in snacks, which is not bad, but I feel like I'm gonna get cut off. They're gonna be like, yo, you're eating all the bananas. You gotta chill. Leave the bananas and popcorn for everyone else. Super boring though. Super boring. First 3 weeks, I think they just hired somebody and they didn't. They didn't really need a position. My first 3 weeks, I read the three Hunger Games books. In my first 3 weeks of work. So if you want to know how I feel about the Hunger Games, write into the podcast. Be like, hey Tank, what's up with whatever happens in the books? But no, I enjoyed them. Second time around, I did enjoy the books. I felt like I was like predicting things. I was like, holy shit, I bet you this is gonna happen, and then it happened. But I'm like, I've already listened to these before, so that's probably what it was. This podcast is just gonna be on book reviews now. If you've come here and you're like, I'm trying to hear talk about sex work and stuff like that, well, sadly mistaken. This is I'm changing the name of the podcast to Full Book Service with Tank Smith, where we talk about books and the power of reading. Reading is a window to the world. Okay, what are we doing? What else have I done at work? Yeah, that's how much. See, I'm just like I'm biding time before we get into the episode. I'm just going to talk about work right now. Uh, what have I done at work? I read the three Hunger Games books. I've sorted a miscellaneous bucket of screws. That's what I did just one day. Also, I sorted a giant bucket of screws. That was a lot of, or no, keys actually. A bucket of screws and then a bucket of keys. And then I started playing Clash of Clans. Shout out to everybody out there who plays Clash of Clans. I really want to fucking stop. It's terrible. I don't need to do it. I joined a clan, and then I tried to tell everybody in the clan about the podcast, and I don't know how receptive they were. Hey, if you're if you're in my clan and you're listening to this, hey, fucking I appreciate it, but we really gotta stop. I've been reading a lot about Colonel Sanders. That's a thing I've been doing. I remember seeing a video a couple years ago where it came out where Colonel Sanders had this like crazy life, like so much rejection, and then he actually got his chicken restaurant off the ground. So I've been reading about Colonel Sanders and the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises. Pretty cool history. If you're if you're bored at work one day and you're like, Fucking type in KFC into Wikipedia. There's a lot of good reading. It's the most popular fast food chain in China. If you didn't know, it's they got like almost 5,000 KFCs in China. It's incredible. They did have to switch the slogan from like finger licking good because I guess it translated to like chicken so good you'll eat your fingers off, which I feel like that's a better slogan. They should. How good is that chicken if there's no regard for your fucking fingers? That's some good ass chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck licking, fuck licking your fingers. Like, if you eat a finger, like that's some damn good chicken. Because you're like, ooh, this is my fingers gone, but those spices. Man, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been working. I've been doing comedy. My job, we have take your dog to work day. I don't know if anybody else has this. My second day, somebody brought their German Shepherd to the office, and I thought there was a drug bust. If that was, I could see on the camera, like on my computer, I have like the camera set up, and I could see, and I just saw somebody like with their German Shepherd, like walking around everyone's desk. I was like, oh God, what the fuck's happening? I have weed in my car. Is this the second day? I'm about to get busted. And turns out it was just somebody just bringing their dog around the office, showing showing everybody what was up. Shout out to that dog. And if you work with me, that Hunger Games stuff, that wasn't true. I work hard, you know, I do lots of good things, but they don't need me. But I'll keep getting paid, baby. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. Man, what to talk about today? I still sometimes I'll like I started this episode. I'm like, what's this episode about? I really don't know. We're just talking today. Little current event, I guess. I've been seeing on Twitter. I got a Twitter for the podcast. If you're not following, what are you doing? Full Service Pod. Give us a follow. Um, I guess it was big news. I guess earlier this maybe this weekend or maybe the end of last week. I guess the erotic review. I talk about it with Stina in her episode in detail. Like Lily mentions it as well. Storm does the erotic review. It's like a basically like a review website. Providers could also advertise on the website as well. But I think it was like the most popular one. I guess I wasn't a member, but I guess it was like the most popular one before they basically shut it off to the U.S. users after Sesta Foss at the beginning of 2018. But apparently, and you couldn't even access it with a VPN or anything. Like it was completely off for U.S. users. But apparently, you can access the website with a VPN now. So if you were a member of TER, you can log back in. You just gotta have a VPN and all your shit's there. Hey, but I was not a member, so that really doesn't apply to me. But I've seen mixed reviews. I'm sure I saw some people that were happy about it. They had like lots of reviews on TER, and when that went away, they had no reviews, and almost like it almost doesn't delegitimize you, but those reviews definitely. If somebody wants to look and see like, oh, this is a legitimate person, those reviews definitely helped, and having those taken away, I'm sure was definitely a detriment. Some people definitely don't like the website. I've seen positive feedback and negative as well. So if you like TER, write to the podcast. Let us know. If you don't like TER, be like, hey Tank, fuck TER. Oh hey, write fullservicepod@gmail.com. Send us a note. Let us know what you think. Um, I did want to do an episode on basically review websites. Um, Basically TER. We'll throw Erotic Monkey in there as well, and USA Sex Guide. I spoke to, I guess, Magic a little bit about it. Like I said, like TER is basically like a review website, I guess. But then I think they had forums and shit. I'm not the best one to talk about it because I was not a member. I really just saw 3 line previews of reviews when I was started out, I guess. USA Sex Guide, same kind of thing. It's like a forum website, almost like it's pretty much like Reddit, I guess, where you'd have like breakdowns of different states and then different topics in each state, like strip clubs, massage parlors, escorts, whatever, just different things. But the feelings toward USA Sex Guide are definitely nowhere near as positive to the erotic review based on talking to people about it. And I would definitely agree. USA Sex Guide, it's filled with lots of garbage people. But also, I will say there's if you started out not knowing anything, like I did, I fucking Googled it, Raleigh Escorts. That is a website that you will find, and I would guess that I'd say like 90% of people that have seen an escort or really like researched about it have definitely been to that website. So it's something to talk about because it does affect clients. It definitely affects providers. So I want to hear from people how they feel about the website because it is a thing. It's not going away. Um, and so I want to hear your thoughts. I put it on Twitter, probably like probably like a month and a half ago now, where I wanted people's input about USA Sex Guide, and I did. I'm gonna be recording like just like I said, just like an episode just solely on kind of like review websites and forums. And I want to kind of like include how providers feel about it, how clients feel about the website. So if you do have an opinion on USA Sex Guide, if you have an opinion on the erotic review, send an email so I can like share your account. Because I only have me, and I'm trying to share everybody's shit. I'm trying to get everybody out there, get it into the ether. But yeah, I did. I wrote it like so. Yeah, I tweeted about it, and I got an email. I got an email about USA Sex Guide, so I do want to read this. I gotta read fan mail. If you write to the podcast, you get a shout out. That's how it works. So this email was written to me by a guy named John, ironically, about USA Sex Guide. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it for you. And now you're gonna get to hear how my reading skills are. I'm reading this off of my cell phone. Good afternoon, Tank. It's going well so far. Let me begin by commending you on your podcast. What? I like this guy already. You have some amazing guests, so many insights into the world of sex work, companionship, etiquette, marketing, personalities, and safety, to name a few. You and your guests are killing it. Congratulations. Oh my God, John, I fucking love this guy already. Heck yeah. What else is going on in this email? He says, I'm a 40-year-old divorced father, veteran, and entrepreneur outside of Savannah, Georgia. Thank you for your service, man. Thank fucking America. The hours I put into my business and children in college do not leave time for me to attempt to have a civilian relationship. It would not be fair for the other party involved because I would have minimal, if any time, to meet their emotional, mental, physical needs. It would make me feel as if I was lying to myself or to them. So 3 years ago, I began to surf the web looking for information on sex workers, and I ran across your current topic, USA Sex Guide. I found USA Sex Guide and looked at the local board, and I read about 3 pages before I had to close it down. The reviews were nothing more than self-adulation of the client and or perceived flaws of the provider, or tales of how the provider was, in my opinion, abused. I was shook at the callous, price-haggling, predatory, uncaring, demeaning talking heads on the board. There were no safety mechanisms. There was questionable professionalism. There was theft, violence against providers as well as clients, and there was bullying of providers who stood up for themselves. It made me take a step back. I wasn't going to be involved in this quagmire. I was looking for dates, and companionship was not this. I was out. Yeah, that's how it is. The boards are not like there's supposed to be moderators on these pages, but it doesn't really work like that. And people can say whatever they want, they can slander whoever, and if there's not anybody to be like, hey, that's bullshit, then that's fact on that board. It's not good. So he goes on to say, so I eventually joined Twitter and watched a few accounts without engaging to see the professionalism, safety, and personas of a few providers. These providers were amazing entrepreneurs, and the assholes were quickly dealt with. The providers controlled their brand instead of the client. They asked me if you asked me to describe USA Sex Guide to someone, the adjectives I would use are predatory, misogynistic, disgusting. A dank, dark look into how predators attempt to treat providers is chattel through lies, threats of bad reviews, promises of good reviews, taking advantage of providers in dire straits, as well as violence. Run from USA Sex Guide and its culture. It's truly the dark side of this industry. But yeah, John, I appreciate you. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for sharing that. I will say I agree with like not if if like pretty much everything he said. You'll see people that on these forums just talk bad about providers. They talk about themselves as if they're the greatest people that have ever graced the earth. Um, there's literally like threats, bad review. Like it's incredible. Um, People advocate not screening. That's a big thing. Price haggling. That's another big thing. Not using protection. It's incredible. But yeah, that was my experience on the board as well. But yeah, I'm trying to share everyone's stuff. So write in if your experience has been similar to John's. If your experience has been 100%, 180-degree opposite of that, write in. Let me know. I will share it. You know, I'm trying to. I say that shit too often. I'm trying to share everyone's shit. I am. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. But yeah, there was also I like to bring up current topics. At the end of last week, in Atlanta, I was like I guess a suburb north of Atlanta in Alpharetta. There's basically a prostitution sting. This lady was arrested, charged with basically prostitution and also reckless conduct. When it was found out basically that she had HIV, and she knew as of basically like October of 2018, and had not, I guess, taken any steps to get treated or anything, and was still seeing clients. And apparently, I read a few different articles because I feel like you gotta. Some of these articles were super vague. Some said that didn't mention whether or not clients knew or not whether she was HIV positive. Some didn't mention that like whether they knew. I guess I don't fucking know. But yeah, if you're out there and you're seeing people, if you're having sex, fucking get tested. Use protection. Like I'll see people, yeah, like John mentioned on USA Sex Guide, people will say be like, don't use condoms. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you? That's how this shit happens. That's how you fucking get STDs, STIs. That's how you that's how you spread shit. You know. So if you're somebody out there and you're like, hey, I don't like using condoms, then fucking you're not gonna see anybody. Don't like you're asking somebody to put risk their life to see you, which is fucking ridiculous. Um, and I mean, nobody's you don't want HIV. I mean, you don't want it. What are we talking about? You don't want that. And you can't tell by looking at somebody. I looked up. I saw this girl's ads. She was advertising on like one back page, list crawler, escort index, escort fish, and like you never know by looking at somebody, by looking at her and be like, oh, this person looks like somebody that might have HIV. Not true at all. You'd have no fucking idea. So use protection and get tested, because that's the only way that we can all do this shit. It's there's whatever city you're in. Um, Google free testing. Definitely do that. And there's free testing all over the country. Like I said, I lived in Raleigh for like 10 years. Shout out to RDU. That 919. Fucking what up? The LGBT Center of Raleigh does free testing. That is every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Fucking pull up downtown LGBT Center. They literally draw some blood. You get your results back in like 7 to 10 days. It is super easy. Everything's anonymous. You're not. I mean, you fill out the form, but nobody's calling you and leaving you a voicemail like, "Hey, it's so and so. We have your test results." That doesn't happen. So go if you're sexually active, get tested. There's really not an excuse, especially when it's free. I can understand if you're having to pay hundreds of dollars to do this, then I'd be like, yeah, that's a different story. But it's free. And if you're in Atlanta, Aid Atlanta has free HIV and STI testing on site daily, and that they're located at 1605 Peachtree Street, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia 30309. Their website is aidatlanta.org. Um, they have like I said, HIV and STI testing every or Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So, and they take their last person an hour before they close. So Monday to Thursday, that'd be at 6 p.m. Get there by 6, and Friday, if you get there by 5, you can be seen, and it's 100% completely free. What are you doing? Go do that, people. You find out your HIV test results that day. The syphilis results take about a week, and chlamydia and gonorrhea 7 to 10 days. You download an app, literally tells you your status on the app. Fucking, it's beautiful. It's a great thing. Um, they also have a couple phone lines. You can give them a call. Completely anonymous. You can call them. You can ask them about basically testing, treatment, how to get PrEP, social services, counseling. They can answer any questions you have. So since it's not, you don't even have to be in Atlanta. You can just probably call them and ask them whatever questions you have, and they might be able to direct you to resources and wherever you're at. And those a couple phone numbers I'll hit you with 1-800 551 2728 and 404-876-9944. And that's the number for Aid Atlanta. The line, you can give them a call. Like I said, completely anonymous. They can answer any questions you have. Definitely reach out. Great resource. Um, and if you're like, hey Tank, I have a lot of money. I'm a ballin' motherfucker. What should I do with all this money I have? All this extra money? I would say donate some money to these people. They're providing an amazing free service. There's plenty of people that cannot afford to get tested. I I'm broke as fuck. I guess I'd have to choose. I'd be like, do I want weed or do I want to get a fucking STD test? you know. So yeah, there's plenty of people that cannot afford this. And they're doing this 5 days out of the week, providing free testing for everybody in Atlanta, which is a fucking great service. So if you are, this is, I mean, they're not a sponsor of the podcast, but if you are like, hey, I want to donate to a cause that I think is a worthy cause, aidatlanta.org. You can donate right on their website. Fucking, they're helping people. Yeah, definitely do that. And if you're like, hey, Tank, dog, bruh, condoms, they're expensive. How much? They're like $5. All right, bro. And lady, here's what I'm gonna do. If you cannot afford condoms, if you write into the podcast, fullservicepod@gmail.com, or you send us a tweet, fullservicepod on Twitter, DM me and you're like, hey, I can't afford condoms. If you give me, tell me what you think about the podcast. If you write me an email, tell me what you think about the podcast. Tell me that you cannot afford condoms. I will Venmo you $5. There's a limit of 8 people on this tweet. on this, I will spend $40 on condoms for people. So yeah, send me an email for fullservicepod@gmail.com. Tell me. And you're like, hey, I can't afford condoms. Here's what I think about the podcast. It does not have to be good. And I will Venmo you $5 or Cash App, you know what I'm saying? Or PayPal. We got lots of different accounts set up. But no. Like I said, this is episode 11. I'm trying to keep this shit short and sweet. I'm trying to get people to like I want to I want to know what you want to hear on the podcast, you know? And the only way I know is emails. So, right to the podcast. Let me know what you want to hear. Who you want to hear on the podcast. I recently realized that I can record remotely. All these interviews have been in person so far, and now I figured out I checked out Zencaster. If you listen to podcasts and you know of how to like record remotely or it's like really clear, fucking let me know. I'm trying to. I know Zencaster works. I tried that the other day. It was pretty clear. It's still not as good as doing it in person, but hey, it'll do. It'll broaden the amount of people I can get, or broaden who I can get, and the amount of people I can get on the podcast. But yeah, if you know shit about podcasts, write in, because I don't. This is I'm winging this shit. I mean, you've listened to the podcast so far. You know that what you know I'm winging it. So no, fucking write in. That would be awesome. And I feel like I had more than I wanted to talk about. I'm blanking right now. Um, Next week. So the next two episodes, I usually do like basically two episodes solo, two episodes solo. The next two episodes, they're gonna be a part one and part two episode. I recorded, I guess, earlier this month, or I guess earlier, it was November. I recorded with Gia Bella of Atlanta. She's an escort I believe for the past like 7 years. But she also did adult film work as well. So she filmed like 340 scenes. She's been published in 5 magazines in 4 different countries. She's a professional athlete. She's a life coach. She's also a medical professional. She's going to law school next year. So I interviewed her in November, and our interview was like 3 hours. It was long. It was a long interview. So what I'm gonna do the next 2 weeks, I'm basically gonna split it in half and have a part one episode and a part two episode, because it is almost separate. We talk about adult film stuff for a while at the beginning, and then we get into like escorting. So yeah, I'm gonna split it into 2 episodes the next 2 weeks. I have Gia Bella for you. I am super. It was a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, that is. Oh boy, this is going to be the shortest episode of the podcast to date. We'll see if we can make it to 35. I doubt it. We're at 32 right now. Oh boy, that is a lot. Christmas season is coming up. If you are in the Atlanta area and you need a black Santa, holla at your boy. I bought a Santa costume last year for we have an Alamo Draft House in Raleigh, and they have like a movie party, and we had Elf. They screened Elf, and I dressed up as Santa Claus, and like just like yelled random shit during the movie. It was a good time. So if you need a Santa Claus, specifically a black Santa Claus, holla at your boy. I got a suit, and I know how to say ho ho ho. I guess that's terrible. Yeah, but yeah. Episode 11, hot. Episode 11. Oh, is it the best episode of the podcast so far? Arguable. Arguable. I think I'm going to go watch Watchmen after this. But no, that is, I guess that's been episode. Ooh, comedy shows, baby. Who likes comedy? Who likes stand up comedy? I like stand up comedy. I will be at Baker Dude next Tuesday. That is December 17th. Show starts at 8 p.m. If you're in the Atlanta area, Baker Dude, it's sort of near the Old Turner Field, Georgia State Stadium. Sweet Laughter is the name of the show. It's a good time. I'll put a link to it in the Libsyn page. Also, January 14th, I believe, I'll be at Laughing Skull. Hopefully, I'll fill in those dates with some more shows. But that's what I got on the books right now. If not, I'll be at these open mics, baby. Catch me in an open mic. You might you might walk into a coffee shop, and then you're like, wait, that voice sounds familiar. Oh fuck, it's the dude from the podcast about the thing. Uh, But no, I'll be out here at these bars, at these restaurants, at these coffee shops, and outside of vape shops in the cold. But no, this has been episode 11. Right into the podcast, listeners. Let us know what you think. Subscribe on whatever podcast platform you listen to podcasts on. Like I mentioned, all the ones we're on earlier. It's way too many. But no, subscribe, give us a rating, write a review. It does not have to be good. The more reviews, the better. You could give us all 1 stars. But also, what I say to that, fuck you. Oh boy, you can't be insulting the podcast audience. Hey, listeners that we're going to give it a 1 star review, you know what, just don't write a review. But, But no, thanks for listening. This has been episode 11, and I think I think we're gonna make it to 35 minutes, like I said. Oh my God, podcast people. Hey, thanks for listening. This has been episode 11. I am Tank Smith, and we will be back next Tuesday with Gia Bella. Fucking tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your grandparents, tell your kids that are over 18 about the podcast. I am Tank Smith. We'll be back later. Peace. Full service.